I got scammed.
Hello?
Yeah, hi, is that Ian?
Yeah, speaking.
Hi, it's the bank. Did you just withdraw 1 million pesos from Mexico City?
No, mate, I'm in Manchester.
Oh, I think there's a problem with your account. Here's what happened next. In 2025, it's not a question of if you're getting scammed, but how. From fake investment schemes to romance scammers to the ghost job market, we're surrounded. I started researching this video for a bit of a laugh. The stats are big, and not everything I'm going to talk about here is used exclusively by scammers. Plenty of legit businesses use these shady techniques to get inside your wallet as well. Scammers send emails, they send texts, they make phone calls, they target you, your parents, your grandparents. But at the same time, we're fascinated with the con man themselves. There's books, films, documentaries. So what is it about these liars, cheats and swindlers that is so interesting to us? And what's the correct way to beat them? By the end of this video, you'll understand why intelligent people fall for obvious scams. And more importantly, not only how to protect yourself, but even how to employ some of these exact same techniques legally and ethically to remove some of the stress and headache from your own life, both at work and at home. So let's start by taking a look at a scam that we're all familiar with. The Nigerian prince. But just in case you've been living under a rock, this is where a supposed Nigerian prince contacts you to say some variation of, I've lost access to my bank account and need £500. If you transfer this to me, I'll repay you with mega interest when I get home and regain access to my money, basically. So what are the constituent parts of this scam that make it credible and effective? Authority bias. Humans have a tendency to trust people in positions of power. So by claiming to be a prince, the scammer sets himself up as an authority figure and someone who it's safe to believe in. Urgency and scarcity. The scammer relies on getting you to act before you've had a chance to engage the suspicious and logical part of your brain. So they'll position the offer as, I need this money now to board my flight, and if you can't help me, I'm going to move on to someone who can, and you will lose out on the opportunity for the £2 million or whatever it is at the end. Which further plays on our innate fear of loss. The desire for more, especially via outsized returns. It'll only cost you 500 quid to get the $2 million or whatever. And that's such a life-changing sum of money. We don't want to consider the possibility that it's too good to be true. Because what if it is true? It's got to be worth a £500 punt, hasn't it? When we're looking at this in the cold light of day, with no pressure on our shoulders, it's easy to wonder, how does anyone fall for this stuff? Well, part of why scammers are so successful using these methods is because they play on our innate psychological structures. Don't believe me? Well, let's have a look at where these same psychological structures and methods are used by more legitimate businesses. Authority bias is celebrity endorsement. From Sydney Sweeney with American Eagle to George Clooney with Nespresso. We know George probably doesn't start his day with an espresso, but subconsciously, because we want to be like him, rich, famous, good looking, we're happy to suspend our disbelief and to copy what we see him at least pretending to be doing. Urgency and scarcity is Black Friday or Amazon Prime Day or bank holiday sales. It's like you can only get this discount now, and if you don't take action, you're going to miss out forever and never have a chance to own all the lovely things that we sell. Again, playing on our natural fear of loss. And outsized returns don't come any more obvious than the lottery. I mean, what is it for a Euro Millions ticket? £2.50, £3? And you could win a jackpot of £106 million. I mean, you won't win the money and neither will I, but it's the promise that hooks us. Just imagine if you did. I mean, someone's got to, right? Suddenly it seems worth a punt for a few quid. But here's what's really interesting about our relationship with scams. When we see a movie like Wolf of Wall Street, we enjoy it. In fact, here's a little story about just how much influence a movie like that can have. In 2013, I worked for a media company and there was an incentive, all expenses paid trip to Ibiza. All the in-house promotional materials of this incentive were life-size cutouts of Leo DiCap as Jordan Belfort. Now, does anything strike you as strange about this? That the figurehead for this sales incentive was a convicted fraudster who ripped people off for their life savings. I mean, perhaps it's hard to argue with why he was used. I've seen the movie, I've seen Margot Robbie, I've seen all the drugs and the money and the fun that the guys had. And it seems like that lifestyle were the exact right ingredients to get a bunch of 20-something-year-old guys to work harder, because we all did work harder. But these are the same young men who'd be outraged if some smooth-talking scammer ripped off their dear old granny for her life savings and pension. So what makes us able, on the one hand, to enjoy the entertainment and the story of the scam, whilst being able to disconnect from the real life victims who lost their real life savings as a result of these things? Again, this has to do with our psychology and emotions, which vibe with the story and the entertainment side, and which form a different structure in our brains from what we use for the logic and conscious decision making side of our brains. The bits we use to recognise and understand the victims. But I'm not the first to uncover these frameworks and similarities. I mean, look at hypnotists. Some claim, and in fact do help, people give up smoking. But some hypnotists make their money from getting people to dry hump the air on stage as part of a show. Now, if you pay someone for a private hypnotherapy session to help you stop smoking and end up going viral as an internet meme for dry humping the air in their office, that's going to be a big complaint you're going to make. Whereas if you leave the office convinced and persuaded to finally quit smoking after years of struggle, you're going to be buzzing, right? So here, the end justifies the means. There's a whole world out there of people who use all their powers of persuasion to get something into our brains. From an idea to a product to a lifestyle. And not all of these are bad. I mean, you could argue that a witch doctor is a scam, but what we know about the power of placebo is that in some cases, people can think themselves cured. I mean, not in all cases, look at Steve Jobs. But then there are psychologists as well, who in one sense are having a conversation like you might have with anyone else. But at the same time, these conversations can and do help cure people from a range of psychological problems. But then what about super hyped up adverts that aren't exactly scams, but are definitely pushing the boundaries of reality compared to what's possible? I mean, look at Nike. Some people's joggers will spend infinitely more time on the sofa than, jogging around the block. But at the same time, some people see the adverts for Just Do It and keep seeing them and keep seeing them. And that message gets deep down into your brain, deep down into your psychology. And they do transform their lives. And I bet they're buzzing about it. So we know we're hardwired to being open to being persuaded of things. And it's possible to see over and over again our natural characteristics of attention and curiosity and self-interest being twisted, manipulated and used against us for someone else's benefit. But whilst this is true sometimes, it's not true all the time. And it is possible for us to find and create benefits off the back of this influence. So when does a scam become a scam? I say the scam test depends on the reality of what's on offer. So when there's an infrastructure behind a legitimate product, where we at least might get what's on offer. I mean, we won't win the lottery or become George Clooney, but there's the chance, right? Whereas a scam has nothing of value behind it. They take your money and that's it, game over. But how do all these scams survive and keep going? Aren't we collectively smart enough to not fall for them anymore? In fact, whilst I was researching this video, it turns out the more intelligent you are, the more susceptible to scams you are. In the movies, the con man is always depicted as getting one up on the bad guy. So we, the audience, don't feel bad because we don't see them on the big screen targeting little old ladies like our parents or grandparents. The message here being that scams are only viable because they exploit some weakness in the target. But now we know that scams are successful because they exploit universal human drivers. Our desire for more, our fear of missing out, our need for status. But maybe the more we're already satisfied with what we've got, the less susceptible we are to these psychological tricks. I mean, it's not about being weak or strong, but maybe if we're more aware of the triggers that we fall victim to and what drives our decisions, we can insulate ourselves from the likelihood of being scammed. So if someone who doesn't want for as much is less susceptible to being scammed, is there a way to feel more satisfied? I think in Britain we're the world champions of keeping up with the Joneses. If next door get a new car, we want a new car. We see someone with a new iPhone and suddenly we're calling up O2 trying to see if there's a deal available to us. And social media only makes this worse. Every time we pick up our phone, we're slammed in the face by people who appear to be crushing life. Whether they are in reality or not is a different matter. I know that I catch myself in the comparison trap to other business owners all the time. Maybe they've got more followers on social media, or they've got a better body than me, or they at least appear to have a way bigger bank balance than me. And then I remind myself that the life I'm living today is one that I used to only be able to dream of. Never having a commute to the office or dial into a 9 a.m. Monday morning meeting on Zoom. I've got a huge amount to be grateful for, so I spend a few minutes every day to appreciate how good I've got it, and I bet you could do that too. So maybe unplugging a bit can help us. But is there anything else that we could do? Are we otherwise hopeless, destined to be vulnerable victims to vicious confidence tricksters? Well, if we're all just walking around ready to be influenced, and we're susceptible to this influence because of our deeply wired psychology, rather than any sort of intellectual or moral failing, the question then becomes, is there some way to use our new understanding to benefit ourselves? And no, I don't mean starting your own Nigerian prince scam. I mean, can we copy some of these skills and techniques to improve our own lives? Can we copy, for example, the biggest and easiest secrets to negotiating with our partners to both feel like the winners in the relationship? Or the insider secrets about how to present ourselves as more desirable in the quest to get a raise? I know for myself, the research that has gone into making this video has helped me a ton. And now I can become the Robin Hood of behaviour change, stealing from the scammers to give to you. If these comment have been using legitimate psychological techniques for their own selfish benefit, what if any man can scam himself into becoming the best version of himself he could be? So to fulfill my promise of showing you how to employ some of these techniques to improve your own life, here's what I did. I took the same psychological tools the scammers used and re-engineered them to become something that actually helps you. I call it the mind control plan. Yep, I'm literally using the techniques I've just explained to you to influence you into being able to influence yourself. The difference is I'm telling you exactly what I'm doing and I'm giving it away for free. To avoid this video spiraling out of control with the length, you can click the link below and forever own the tools to help yourself. So download it and see how powerful your brain can be when it's working with you rather than against you. But with all that said, I've been Ian Dowie, the online personal trainer, not the old palace manager, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I've enjoyed making it. There's a comment section below, so tell me what's on your mind. Cheers.